I've learned or grown to love our regular environmental chats. Why? Because we get to explore all the creepy crawlies in the world, but also to send a very important message. And I think we know as South Africans, we are blessed to have so many unique species to this part of the world, but sadly a growing number of those are on the endangered list, which reinforces the unbelievable work that conservationists do here in the country. Sometimes it's about educating us, sometimes it's about learning more themselves, and in some cases it's about putting their lives on the line. And of course, one of our favorite environmental conservation experts, Luke Bax, a man who literally has South Africa running through his veins, is here to explore, unfortunately, often the darker side of conservation. We'd love to hear from you, 083 9133 let's talk turkey here. This is a very, and apologies, I know turkey's not a wild animal, but no, it really is. It seems like the South African narrative. We have the best, the most diverse, incredible wildlife within the country, yet conservation is still such a battleground.
Yeah, so conservation in South Africa is actually one of the best within Africa itself. I mean, conservationists in South Africa pride ourselves with the work ethic and the amounts of work that we have done towards conservation in South Africa. But it's what you see on TV with what everyone thinks conservation is, which is raising animals and running after poachers. It's not exactly what we do on a day-to-day basis. You don't see the, oh, we've got to go fix fence line, you've got to do fence patrols. You don't see
the grunt work.
Yeah, you don't see the hard graft, which is the problem. And so you get people starting to join up into conservation for the glory reasons. Now there's so many TV programs about, oh, let's go to this reserve and we're going to go film the life of rangers. And everyone wants to be on TV, so they're joining I feel like sometimes they're joining the conservation for the wrong reason, in a way.
The hype of it.
Yeah.
And it can. We know, I think any of us who have experienced the wild, you know you're going to have a moment of self-actualization out there. Something amazing is going to happen to you. But it's about crunching those numbers. It's about doing the hard yards, as you said, that people don't see. So take us through a typical day in the life for you. Are you out there dodging bullets? Take us through your kind of modus operandi.
In my time working on nature reserves and game reserves, it's one of the hardest questions to answer, because everyone asks, okay, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? And you say, well, today I went to go fix the water lines in the reserve, but during that, then a fire started. And you've got to quickly run and go put the fire out. And then, or one day you're busy doing an environmental education program, and then the water line in the reserve breaks, and suddenly you're about to lose all the water in your reserve, so you've got to go fix it. So for me, it's the best we had is we'd set out objectives for the month. We've got a kind of like points of what we want to finish.
Save the species.
Yeah.
Extend the land by this, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like we've got these objectives, and whether we get them done in the order that we wanted to is one thing, but it's kind of like we've got to have these done by the end of the month. But some days you do it all in the first 12 days, and then the next 12 days, however many days left in the month, you spend running around like headless chickens chasing.
I think he's being quite humble here. He's playing it down. I sense there might be an heroic story or two, and we'd love to hear from you as well. We're going to get quite serious with this chat in a moment, so I do warn you about that, but this is a serious topic, and we'd love to hear from you. If you've had a conservation experience of your own, please give us a shout, 083 9133 We're also going to get into some spectacular pictures as well, so stay tuned.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. We've got Luke Bax, our environmental expert, our conservationist, giving us a bit of a window into his reality. We've heard it's not all glamour. There are some pretty tough days and a lot of grunt work when it comes to saving our environment, but obviously there are those stories that we don't like to report on, those terrible moments, and we want to delve a little bit deeper into this one in particular, certainly, to get some context. We're talking about leopards, an unbelievable creature, but of course we lost one of a very small population recently when it wandered onto a farm, and a situation escalated. And I'm going to connect now with Game Reserve owner Barry Birchall, who hopefully can shed a bit of light on this, what sounds like a tragic, a heartbreaking incident. Very good morning, Barry.
Morning, Graham.
Barry, thanks for connecting with us this morning. First of all, just give us the details of the encounter, first of all, and what led to the death of this majestic creature. I'm sure the decision really didn't come lightly, but take us through a bit of a blow-by-blow.
Graham, we are in the Eastern Cape between Grahamstown and Adder Elephant Park, and we are a hunting game farm. So we derive our income mostly from hunting, from foreigners, and also locals, and also we do game capture and also culling. So because of hunting being our main activity, we need to controlled vermin in the area. The vermin which I'm talking about are jackal and lynx. And it's also very important to understand we want to control them. We don't want to wipe jackal and lynx out. We just want to control them to manageable numbers. So for the last 30 years, I've owned a vermin pack that hunts lynx and jackal 5 days of the week. On the weekends, they rest. And on a standard hunt, the hounds picked up the track of a leopard, which we thought was a lynx. And the hounds ran ahead of the houndsman. His name is Mike. He's been working for me for 23 years. And I've got a young guy, Dale. He just finished matric last year. He'd been working for me for about 1 month. And he was armed with a 222 rifle, which is a very small caliber for leopard, but it is perfect for shooting lynx and jackal. And the leopard and the hounds were in the forest, the thick forest, underneath a big yellow tree. And at this stage, I still thought it was a lynx. And as Mark went closer to inspect, the leopard charged him, hit him in the chest, hit him on his forearm, which broke his forearm with one bite, hit him this on the shoulder, and then bit him on his face. And Dale was about 5 meters from Mark. He was very scared to shoot the leopard at that stage because he didn't want to shoot Mark from a ricochet or anything like that. So Dale shouted at the leopard and to try and chase the leopard off. And the leopard then charged Dale. And as the leopard got about 1 meter from Dale, he shot it in the head, which dropped the leopard on the spot.
Obviously, a tragic story. Is there anything about the way that this played out that raised alarm bells for you? Obviously, this is your land. This is an area that you would like to keep safe, yes, but knowing the nature of your work, something I'm sure that you would expect to encounter at some point. Is there something you would have done differently?
Unfortunately, there's nothing we could have done differently. If we knew the leopard was in the area, we wouldn't have hunted in that area where the leopard was. But we didn't know it was in the area. In fact, we didn't even know it was on the property. But we've got a couple of big game farms, photographic game farms, which are neighbours, like Shamwari Game Reserve. And the good news is that the leopard numbers in the Eastern Cape have exploded over the last 10 years. There are many more leopard now than what they've been in the last 100 years. So the numbers are definitely increasing very much. So I'd imagine a situation like this is going to possibly become more frequent, because we do need to continue hunting with the hounds. We do need to continue controlling the vermin, being the jackal and the lynx. But I have recently, after the incident, I did buy 10 leopard traps, which will catch a leopard in a cage, which will be 100% safe. It won't damage the leopard at all. Okay. So we have set these traps.
All right, Barry, so I'm going to have to cut you off there, but thank you so much for connecting with us and at least giving us your perspective of an incident that I'm sure you do regret. It doesn't, it sounds like that, obviously you have done a full assessment of that, so thank you so much. And we're certainly going to open that conversation up a little bit. We'd love to hear from you, the viewers, if you've been through a similar situation. Maybe you're a game reserve owner or a game farm owner. And Luke, we'll get your opinion on this. A couple of numbers were mentioned there about an increase in leopard numbers. We know we're dealing with a very limited amount to begin with, so I really want to hear from you. We're going to continue that chat in a moment. 083 9133 728 is the number if you want to weigh in.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Thank you so much. A flood of comments coming in on Facebook regarding our previous comment and discussion regarding a leopard that was shot on a hunting farm. Let's get your perspective, because I could feel the temperature rising in here, and understandably so. I'm not a conservationist, but it just felt like to me that maybe this situation could have turned out differently. How we heard numbers of leopards are rising in this area in the Western and Eastern Cape. Is this the case, or where does the leopard population stand?
So one thing with the leopard population now is that game farming is becoming a lot more popular. A couple of years back, everyone was into livestock farming, but now, because of the changing climates and everything, game actually handles the changing climates a lot better. So it's a lot easier to farm. They don't need constant food, they don't need constant water, because they're designed to live in that area. And with that, they bring a constant influx of animals, and now the leopards have got an increase in prey.
We're running out of real estate.
Well, not just that, they're getting an increase of diet, and as well as now there's a lot more open area for them to live, whereas previously they were confined to a few isolated reserves. Now a lot of the reserves are linking up, so they've got a chance to move and chance to breed, and now they're expanding quite a lot. The population is very healthy, but if you compare the leopards you get in the Eastern Cape are actually quite a lot different to the leopards you get in the Western Cape. So the leopards in the Western Cape are a lot smaller. The big males get to about 42 kilograms. So where compared to the male in that story weighed 113 kilograms. So, yeah.
So you can imagine the fear involved in that situation, but something truly regrettable, and we we'll leave that as an open question when your thoughts on that lie. So we're going to round off with something quite inspirational. I think let's kind of lighten the mood a little bit, and I think you've created a legion of conservationists out there. We've been sent some amazing pictures, and we've got an incredible photo that came in from one of our viewers, Annabelle Biggett-Davis. She actually witnessed a springbok giving birth. Have you ever been there and present or had to aid in a moment like that?
So I've never had to aid in the moments of animals giving birth, but I have been there. I have been there when animals do give birth. You spend a lot of time in reserves. You tend to see this happening. The closest I've got in regards to leopards, I did some research on the leopards of the Western Cape a couple of years ago, and I got to see one of the cubs. Wow. The cub must have been about under 2 weeks old, the size of effectively like a house cat, wandering around in the mountains, and so that's about as close as I've got.
How difficult was it to find? I think every person on their game viewing list has about 10 of every other animal, and then once in your lifetime, if you get a leopard, you kind of feel lucky.
So the Cape leopard is a lot harder to find than the Highveld leopard. So I actually had set up my camera traps, and I went and spent 3 nights in it consecutively, sitting behind the camera trap, a good 10 meters behind the camera trap. Every time the flash went off, I just turned my torch on and I'd see what it was. And it's actually quite unnerving when you turn your torch and there's a leopard about 15 meters away from you. Just turn it off again going, oh, I hope they didn't see me. And
if I can't see him, he can't see me.
Yeah, it doesn't really work with a leopard because they've got incredibly good night vision. Oh, but luckily I was able to see the cub, which is the cub and the mother at the same time.
Oh, dude, I'm sure one of many more moments to come. Thank you so much for joining us. I know this is a very difficult subject for you to broach as well, and thank you for everyone who's weighed in on the conversation. It's worth having a look on our Expresso Morning Show Facebook timeline. We'd like you to join that conversation as well. Luke, thank you very much, my brother.
It's always fun to be here.